Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Leach, reporting here for Edit Girls today for the second time. My last interview was with Joanna Noggle, so go watch that and check that one out if you haven't seen it yet. But today I'm here with Sofia Kerpan. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
There's never been an Edit Girls podcast recorded in person, so this is the first one.
I'm honored. Yeah.
I'm super excited as a little monster of going on, God, like, I don't know, 13 years or something.
Yeah, I mean, same.
To talk about Abracadabra and just everything that you've done in your career. But I am, unfortunately, going to make you sit through the reading of your own bio really quick. Okay. So sorry about that. Sofia Kerpan is an award-winning editor whose work spans the narrative, documentary, commercial, and music video categories. She's worked on projects for artists such as Rihanna, Daniel Glover, Megan Thee Stallion, Selena Gomez, Lil Yachty, Olivia Rodrigo, Kate Trinata, Kaliukis, Usher, Gunna, and Raven Lenae. She's worked with brands such as Nike, Google, Fender, Calvin Klein, and Gucci, among others. Most recently, she cut the music video for Lady Gaga's Abracadabra. Also, Sofia won an MTV Video Music Award for Best Editing for Olivia Rodrigo's Vampire. Very important. I don't know how I forgot to say that. We're going to take it back to the beginning of your love for cinema. Mm-hmm. And for music videos and just really kind of culture. If you had to pick the first movies that you fell in love with, like what would those be?
The first movie I remember being really mesmerized by is funny because it's West Side Story and like The Sound of Music, like a lot of musicals.
Oh my God,
because
that's
my
just, favorite.
Really?
Yes. That's insane.
The Von Trapp family are like... Okay. But
that is quite literally, like, top of my letterboxd.
Yeah.
The Sound of Music.
Yeah, and like Grease. I don't know. Those were just the movies that were around, I guess. When you're a kid, you don't have a taste in movies yet. I loved Matilda a lot.
Love.
Classic.
Oh, that movie makes me cry. Yeah. It's so good. I feel like kids who watch a lot of movie musicals, a lot of them become theater kids.
I'm not a theater kid,
one
though.
Thing. You were not a theater kid.
No,
okay,
I'm not.
Was, so... You know,
I didn't mean to shade theater kids.
Tread lightly, no.
But that's a lot of, like, Gaga has very theater kid energy.
Totally. But I feel like what I was going to say is that I feel like it can hone sort of like a skill for cutting to music that is, like, intrinsic. Like, you don't even necessarily know why you have it or where it came from, but just a theory that I have.
Yeah, because it's music-driven. Yeah, so I liked musicals, and I think that's a really good connection to make there. But the first movie that was... like my movie that I got for Christmas, I think I was like 7 or 8, was Clueless. I got on VHS.
Yes.
And I watched it that night. And I was just obsessed with teen movies ever since then. I loved like 10 Things I Hate About You, obviously Mean Girls, Superbad, because I didn't grow up, like my parents didn't have like taste in indie film or anything like that. Like I just watched what was playing in theaters.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later on when I really got into things where I started researching more into independent films. But I also,
the same way.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think another big moment was when Napoleon Dynamite came out.
Are we like, okay, this is crazy. You're saying all the...
Really?
Yes. Napoleon Dynamite, also one of my favorites.
Yeah. Because
it introduces you to independent
cinema. Yeah. Because it was an independent film that got massive distribution and just blew up out of nowhere. And yeah, I remember seeing it in theaters with my brother and just being like, what is this?
Yeah.
I didn't know movies could be like this.
Yeah.
I really liked Drop Dead Gorgeous, like a mockumentary is always really fun.
Same.
Little Miss Sunshine is like an all-time fave. So I'll leave you. That's
like a perfect list to like demonstrate just sort of like different corners of your taste and like where it all came from. There's the film side of things, and then there's the music video side of things. I don't know if you have like a preferred or a favorite between them, like in terms of it's one thing to watch them and it's another to work on them. Like, do you have a preferred medium in editing?
I just started out doing music videos with the hopes that it would eventually transition to working on films, which is still the case. But at the same time, I feel now that I've gotten to work with big artists that I'm a fan of now, I feel so honored to get to work on such incredible music videos, and I don't think that they're any less important. Like in terms of types of media, I feel like you could say that's the most watched type of media these days. Like the views those videos get.
Yeah, the views are crazy.
Is insane.
And the impact on culture is also
arguably
really
could
huge.
Be bigger than movies right now.
Yeah.
Like in this day and age, I don't know if that's fair to say, but they're deeply impactful to so many people, including me as a kid. I think that's why I was drawn to working on them.
We just talked about film. So what were some of your like music video favorites from childhood?
Aaliyah's Are You That Somebody?
Oh, yeah.
Which isn't like breaking any rules or doing anything crazy in terms of the actual video, but just her outfits are like really like I need to have all of those. I remember thinking I really need to have a pair of baggy black leather pants when I grow up while I was watching that video.
Yeah.
And I'm still looking for the right pants. But like that video, and she's just like the ultimate cool girl, like the coolest girl of all time. Obviously, Britney.
Of course.
It's hard to pick a video. There's so many. I also love Freak on a Leash by Korn. Oh. It's insane. It's like following a bullet flying through the air for most of the video. And there's a little animated scene at the beginning and end.
Were you watching Gaga videos as a child?
For sure.
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
you were. So you were there. You were there.
Yeah.
You were paying attention to that.
I remember feeling... It was like a succession of videos of hers over the first few years when she came out, where I would like run to YouTube to go see.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching Telephone. She was really changing pop to me, I think, in terms of like recession pop.
Yeah.
If we want to call it that. It was like, I felt like she really pushed the other big pop girlies of the time to be edgier, be weirder.
And just be more like discerning with their vision.
Yeah.
And I also kind of feel like maybe another way that Gaga changed things was the fact that she was so singular in her vision that it was like people weren't telling her what to do. She was affecting culture through her own vision, and that definitely inspired a lot of other, especially female artists, to like take control over.
Yeah. Because I think she was being fearlessly herself in a way that we were used to just seeing pop music feel, I guess, more manufactured.
Yeah.
Which I loved too.
Yeah.
Like I loved that. So it was just really cool to see. And I grew up watching TRL. And every week it was like, what's going to be the #1 video? So yeah, I just grew up loving music videos in general. So when she came around and kind of reinvigorated the medium, it was incredible.
Yeah.
I never ever would have thought that I'd get to work with her on one, though.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
In your childhood, did you do like any like DIY music videos at home, like to edit them yourself or whatever? I mean, I did a lot of that. So
when I'm listening to music, I'm just picturing the video, what I would do for the video in my head.
Yeah.
Or like if I'm in a sad mood, I'll listen to sad music and just pretend I'm in the music video. And be sad.
Stare out the window. The rain. That always reminds me of...
I definitely do that when I listen to music, but I also I would film little videos of my friends, of us just hanging out. I don't know if we were performing the music, but then I would cut it to a song.
Right.
And that felt like a little music video.
I'm curious if you remember the first time, or sort of generally the era of time, where you realized what editing was.
I was actually trying to think about that.
It's a hard question.
Before this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I definitely didn't set out to be an editor. I didn't really even discover a talent for it until I was in college. But
I mean, how could you? I mean, there's not child prodigy. Now there probably are child prodigy editors out there, but when we were growing up, like it was just at the beginning of it becoming accessible to us on our computers, which was amazing, but we didn't have the tools to like.
Yeah, because everyone now can edit a video on their phone. It wasn't like that. Even YouTube wasn't really around when I was really little until I was a preteen. And even then it was like very niche.
Right.
Comedy, like Chocolate Rain or something
like
that. And like
Fred.
Which, I kind of miss those days.
Me too.
Me too. But I guess when did I discover editing? iMovie in high school.
Like until college, you didn't really like
not
all through
definitely
high
not as a
school?
profession.
Right. Okay,
No.
cool. Interesting. I mean, it hits people at all different times because, yeah, a lot of times editing is just not at the forefront of your mind if you're thinking about film or you're thinking about music videos or what have you. You went to college for film, right?
I went to BU, Boston University.
Oh, okay.
For a semester. They didn't have a film program.
Oh,
It was just like a communications major, and that's part of why I left. I really didn't like it there. I didn't like the school, and it wasn't really
freezing cold.
It's cold. I mean, Chicago's cold.
Yeah,
but
Chicago's cold.
I was actually pretty miserable, and it was really an expensive school. But the silver lining was that I met my friend Danielle, who became one of my co-founders of the company.
Oh,
that
cool.
we made when I moved back to Chicago and went to Columbia College. We got an apartment together, and we both enrolled at Columbia and started making music videos.
That's so like kismet, like just perfect.
Yeah,
perfect blend of interests. And...
Well, it was also funny because she and I are both from Chicago. We knew a ton of the same people because we both went to Chicago public high schools, and there's kind of like rivalries between the schools and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we went to like rival high schools, but we never knew each other until we went to Boston, and then we met, and we were like instant best friends. Yeah.
At the end of high school, you know how, at least for me, I know it was really intense when everyone was like, you need to pick your major, you need to like try to get into the best school for the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, if there was any pressure in your life about like not choosing arts, or if your parents were like, do you?
I was always a good student, so even if I didn't want to do something super traditional, I guess, my mom, I guess, had a lot of faith in me that I'd be okay. Because I was a good student. I think, my mom always supported my dreams. And I think she liked that we were all creative because my brother and sister are also creative people. She was proud of that because I didn't grow up in a particularly creative, creativity is a very broad thing that can mean a lot of things, but I guess I didn't have examples of people growing up that were making a living off of doing something creative in a very direct way. So I think my mom thought it was cool, honestly, that we were doing that.
She was like, let's see how this goes.
Yeah. And like I said, I think if I put my mind to something, I can pretty much do it.
So what was the first project you edited that, actually this could be during college, that you felt proud of to the point where you were like, I think editing could be a career for me, a way to make money in this industry?
I have kind of a funny story about it. I was in college at the time at Columbia, which is, they have a great film program there actually, and that's why I decided to go there. I think it was the second semester of freshman year there, and I was failing one of my classes, and it was like a prerequisite class that you had to pass in order to move on to,
Stupid.
in order to take the fun class, like take directing or screenwriting or anything beyond pass. It was like some intro to film thing, and the whole point of the class was to make a short film over the course of a semester, and every week we had to submit like, okay, I've got my shot list, I've got my treatment, I've got, just...
Right.
Meanwhile, outside of school, I had started this little production company with my friends, and we were making music videos for our friends that made music. That was kind of taking up a lot of my time, and I didn't... I went to film school, so I was just like, this is really important. Like,
it gets to a point where it's like, I don't know if all this money spending is necessary.
Or not that it wasn't important, but I guess I was just having fun, and I was just being kind of bad. And that was new for me. I was always a really good student, and I never slacked in school, so this was me doing that. I was still working. We were making money. I mean, not a lot of money, but we were.
That is one subject about music videos that is also interesting to me, the fact that it has such a large impact on culture, but like I've edited a lot of music videos where I've been like shocked at how little money they're allocated, and it kind of has to do with the labels, and
you don't make money, like you can't live off of cutting music videos. But at the time I was like 18, and I was like, this is dope, and and I thought it was actually working in the field to some extent. I mean, I was also hanging out with my friends and just joking around a lot. Like, the videos are really funny. So I was failing that class. I decided to go into the dean's office because at the same time, the school newspaper, they did an article about my company and all of the music videos that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, let me take the
like
newspaper.
Leverage this.
Let me go to the dean.
Yeah.
Bring the newspaper and just walk in there with like my Tony Soprano energy and just be like, listen, I know I'm failing this class.
But, yeah.
And I really don't want to retake it, but
like I'm being
I'm
productive.
in the newspaper about this work I'm doing outside of here, and I'm really working in the field. Luckily, the school really valued that. You could get credits. Yes, if you were doing work in the field. So I was like, what can we do about this?
And they gave it to you?
I don't know why I did like Mr. Burns hands, but well, no. So,
no?
Yes and no. They were like, okay, listen, you don't have to retake the class. We'll let you move on, but grade is going to stay on your record.
Oh,
and I was like, okay, who cares?
So, like you like half got it, kind
Well, it's like, who cares about a GPA in film school?
No one was ever going to care about that
No
again.
one cares, and we're just trying to graduate.
Yeah.
So
C's get degrees.
So, yeah, and he also said I could get credit for my work.
Oh, perfect.
Outside of, yeah.
Yeah. So then you're not like, I guess that's a way to save money, kind of, is it?
Not a lot, but yeah.
Yeah, not a lot, but...
I think I got, like, a small amount of credits for it. But it was still, I think, yeah, it was kind of just a confirmation that we were doing something good because the newspaper wanted to write about us.
Yeah.
Early on in those days, I was just kind of, I didn't really think, like, I want to be good at this. It was just, I would get feedback and people would be like, this is a good edit. And I didn't really have direction. So I was like, okay, people like this. I'll just keep doing this. And then before I knew it,
natural.
It was like, this is my profession.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool that the natural progression of things happen. Instead of like a lot of people hit post film school and they're like scrambling in terms of what am I going to actually do to make money at this point. So that's actually really ideal, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, there was that for sure, too, where it was like, okay, I need to pay my rent. And I know this skill. I know how to use this program.
So we're going to
do it. Like, yeah.
Looking back at that time, post-college, which projects do you think you did that kind of became the stepping stones to bigger clients, bigger projects, and like where you are now?
I feel like a big turning point was when I started working with Petra. She was doing these kind of small vignettes, these like horror film vignettes starring Selena Gomez. And this was
I saw them all. I was there.
Really?
I loved her work. I really loved her work.
Everyone, she's insane.
Yeah.
And of course, when my friend Kevin, he worked for Capitol Records for a long time. I think he's still there. I'm not sure, but he is the reason that I was connected to Petra. And it was kind of just a text message one day, like, hey, Petra needs an editor. You down? And I was like,
that's
of course.
A dream.
Yeah, and it was like, there's no money.
Like that.
Yeah. And it was like, there's no money. So, yeah, I feel like it was a lot of knowing the right people or having a relationship already.
Yeah.
Where people trusted me that I was going to do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's really kind of all it is.
Yeah, it's all relationships.
That's what I've realized also.
But yeah, I think things started to change after that because everyone knew who she was. And I had never worked with a director of that caliber up until that point. And we've continued to work together. It's like a gift every time I get the footage because
it's just so beautiful. Like everything she shoots is so pretty.
Yeah. A lot of the fear of being an editor is when you get the footage and maybe it's not as good as you thought it would be, especially when you've seen the treatment and all of the pre-production documents, then you're expecting something.
Something grand,
that doesn't happen with her. It doesn't happen with a lot of people I work with, luckily. But of course it's happened and you're like, okay, now I have to make this into something workable.
Yeah.
And we have to solve a lot of problems.
Yeah, solve the puzzle.
But yeah, I'm always just so excited when I pull up the footage. It was for the launch of IGTV, which I don't even think exists anymore. Like now it's Reels.
I remember that.
But yeah, it was like Instagram was launching this like longer form video hosting platform.
Was that
and
like 27?
I think it was 20
somewhere around there. Yeah, I do remember IGTV as like a phrase. That is completely gone.
Right? And yeah, they gave her some money to just like do whatever you want. And she used a lot of prosthetics, and Selena was just being weird. And
yeah, because didn't she do Fetish, the Selena
yeah, it was
video
around
that time?
Yeah, it was around that time.
Yeah, I loved that video. That to me was like a good sort of like glue moment of like artist and director, like musical artist and director.
Yeah, because they're friends as well. So I think they've collaborated a couple times. But I just cut her new music video that Petra directed.
Oh, cool. Now you edit for Modern Post, right? Mm-hmm. So I've always been super interested to hear kind of like how editors come to work for a post house and like how that relationship comes about. And it always kind of seemed like a chicken or the egg thing to me. Like, how much work do you need to have on your own before you would even be approached for a conversation like that, and just sort of how that happened for you?
Like I mentioned, I had a company with my friends. We were making music videos in Chicago. And after college, it was like New York or LA. And I decided to go.
Age-old question.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'll go to LA because Eva's going to LA. She was one of the other co-founders of the company and also a really good friend of mine. We lived together for years. Yeah. Great, incredible editor. Incredible editor. Yeah, great person. And she helped me get my first real editing job in LA, working at an advertising agency. That's when I started doing assisting. And I didn't really even know about the concept of being an assistant editor. Like, we were all just joking around making music videos.
Like AE training in college. I'm always shocked by that. Like, I went to NYU for film school. There is not AE training.
Yeah.
Which is so insane when you think about it. Because like you can choose a track. Kind of. NYU doesn't force you to choose a track, but you can. And you can go through the whole editing track, and they're really teaching you to be an editor.
And that's
which is a far cry from what
that
you
takes
will
a while
be doing.
Honestly.
Yeah, like when you get out of school. I think it's the difference between art school and trade school. It potentially could make more sense to go to a cheap trade school or watch YouTube videos, do what you got to do to just learn the craft of AEing, because it is different.
But that's what's so interesting about editing too, is the way that it's where tech and art meet. And it's also like there's a lot of like nerdy people in editing
and introverts.
And I don't know if that always translates to having like a certain taste level, just because you can have, you know, how to use a program. You might know there's a lot of people that know Premiere better than me, and I'm okay with that. I know that like part of what my skill set is, there's like a taste level, there's a sensibility, and editing, being a good editor goes beyond Premiere. It's also very social.
Yeah, which people, you wouldn't think that it could be, right? But a huge part of the reason why you've gotten to where you are and the jobs and working for Modern Post and all of that, it's due to relationships.
Yeah.
But it's so, especially with COVID, like I've almost not at all had an in-person editing job in the past 4 years.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it kind of took a while for it to come back. And I used to hate doing sessions, like in-person sessions, because I was this, I came from cutting music videos that were directed by me and my friends. So it was like, we don't have a client.
No one's telling you what to do.
It was just
it's not
maybe the artist. Yeah. But
right, which is fair.
Yeah. But it was all very run and gun. Like everyone was, all the like video girls in the videos we were making were my friends. All the clothes they were wearing were my clothes.
Right.
Like we had no money. We were just doing everything so like on the fly. So when I came to LA and I was working at an advertising agency, I was suddenly working as an assistant editor on like a Pizza Hut commercial. And I
would think that learning curve would be pretty steep.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
I played it off like, cool, totally got it. Like, But I also had Eva, who had been working there for a few months, and she really, like, she was my saving grace. She was just like, we handle these parts of it. And then, you know, I learned a lot about how a session is run as well because of the editors I would assist. You're not supposed to give creative input, really, especially because where I was assisting, you were in the room.
That's
you know,
a great experience.
doing assisting things. But yeah, it was like you kind of just observe and do what they need.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no better way to learn, because I kind of have that concern about editors from here, like young editors learning now, because it has changed a lot due to COVID and editors preferring their at-home setup. There's a lot of that going on too in feature films as well, where like they're older or maybe they have kids and they've got this intense schedule, and now they've built out their at-home studio to the point where they're like, why would I leave?
Yeah.
And this goes beyond just editing. In the entertainment industry as a whole, like, how are the young people going to learn when the method has changed completely and they can't see like the people that they need to learn from? I'm kind of concerned about that.
Like, yeah, but I think it's important because I had to sit in those rooms, and it wasn't just that I knew my role. I got to observe how the editor would speak with the creative directors or the account people, terminology that I'd never heard before, especially in advertising. They have all these words and like,
I bet.
And I was like, what? And you just act like you know what they're talking about and slowly pick it all up. But yeah, I think learning to how people talk about what we're making was really important. And that's also a skill you need to have as an editor, is knowing how it can be really hard to put into words what
the feeling,
what we're going for. So knowing how to speak about editing is really important.
It's like a skill in itself. Was there sort of like a moment where your portfolio was like robust enough that Modern Post like noticed you?
We were still answering that question.
Like how did that happen?
Yeah, I was an assistant for a while, and at some point I was so naive. I didn't even really know that this was risky to do, but I was like, I just like don't feel like doing this anymore.
Honestly, that's fine.
I was like, I don't feel like
I've done that too with editing jobs.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't feel like driving to, because it was in Playa Vista.
Oh, okay.
The place.
And where were you? And you were living?
I lived downtown at the time. I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't think working on Taco Bell commercials, like no shade, is where
your passion
I want to stay. Yeah, so I was like, I want to work on cooler things that like really resonate with me. And I had friends in the music industry, so they started passing me work, and it was all
like on the side.
Okay. Yeah, I started getting enough of those jobs where I didn't have to assist as much anymore. I didn't even consciously know I was doing this, but I guess I just decided I was a lead editor now, and I only did that.
Yeah.
And I started taking jobs at other smaller agencies. I continued freelancing, but it was no longer as an assistant. I was just like, I'm an editor.
That's such a crucial moment too, because I hear that a lot. People who are AEs and they feel like,
or they're waiting for someone to say like,
yeah,
you're
for
an
someone
editor.
to say you're an editor. It's like, unfortunately, that moment probably will not come, because having a good AE is like having like a golden individual. Like, people love being a really good AE is a great skill to have and will help you so much as an editor for sure. But you're the only person that that can actually like jump that line for you.
Because also, if you're amazing,
no
people
one
aren't
wants
gonna
you
want
to be an
no one
editor.
wants you to go.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, we love you.
You're a precious resource. Like, don't leave.
But yeah, so I just decided to be a lead editor, and then I started building my portfolio slowly over the next 3 or 4 years. I feel really, really lucky. I guess a lot of word of mouth. By the time Modern Post reached out to me, you know, I was freelancing. I'd been freelancing for like 8 years or so, and never even considered signing to a post house, because that just wasn't, I know that that's the traditional route, is to kind of come up through a company, but I mean,
it could limit you. That might have been your thought at the time.
I didn't even think of it. Like, I honestly,
it just wasn't even.
I was just like, I'm paying my bills.
Yeah.
I never had a shortage of work. I never had gaps where I was like worried about work. Anytime I would think, oh, I hope, you know, I get another job after this, I would get an email and it would be like, hey, we want to book you.
Yeah.
So I just,
there was no need never really came up.
Yeah. So I was constantly turning away work too. It was to the point where I was getting so many requests that I was like, I can't do all of this. And so when Modern Post reached out, it just wasn't on my radar. And I honestly was kind of skeptical about it. But then I really looked more deeply into the other editors and their work there and their portfolio, it became really clear that that would open a lot of doors for me in terms of working in
Brands.
fashion. Yeah, working on fashion films, which is something that I wanted to do. I knew that it would just be a level up for me.
Yeah, I've noticed. I've like, that moment has happened to me many times where I'm like looking at the credits like on Instagram of some video thing, and then I go to the editor, and then in the editor's bio it's Modern Post. Like that has happened to me many times.
Yeah, so it's like I had known the name, but I was never really big on knowing my peers. Like obviously I knew Eva, we were editors.
Right.
But I honestly just was never really checking for other editors. I think because I was just trying to finish my own workload.
Right.
Like I just...
Yeah, that is one sad thing about the editor community kind of, is that we don't get to do a lot of FaceTime with each other because we're having to interface with all these other roles.
Yeah.
Like there is no, unless you got lucky and are on a team of editors.
Right.
But that's more of a TV thing and a film thing.
Yeah, or if you're at a post house and you're working alongside other editors. But yeah, I was kind of, and maybe that's a good and a bad thing, I was just really not even checking for other editors.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know what other people were doing, and maybe that helped in a way with developing my own style. But once I did look more deeply into it, I was like, oh yeah, they're amazing.
Is a good choice. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so now we're just gonna go straight to
Gaga.
We've established that you listened to Gaga as a child. You were there watching the videos. So obviously this job, editing Abracadabra, like, not that Gaga went away, but you could call this a comeback if you wanted to. Like, even though she has been really active over the past few years. But anyway, so I would love to know just like how this job arose and how it came to you. And I just want to know everything, honestly. Yeah. Tell me everything.
Give you the tea. So the tea is that it came across my desk because of Bethany Vargas, who's one of the co-directors. She and I we worked on a couple of things over the past few years. I love her. I love her down. And she's the same, similar to Petra, where she's like, do you want to cut this? I'm like, yes.
Yeah, like
say less, because I know it's gonna look incredible. She's also a photographer as well.
That always helps.
Always helps.
Yeah.
And so I knew it was Gaga, and I knew it was Bethany. At that point, I didn't know Paris was involved. But
Paris is the choreographer, right? Okay.
Yeah, and co-director. It comes across my desk middle of December, December of last year, right as I'm so excited to take a break and just disappear for the holidays and not be on my computer.
Yeah.
And music videos are by far the more demanding projects.
And timeline,
Timelines are short. There's no time. And I just remember feeling so conflicted, like, why is this happening right now?
It's the best and the worst, yeah.
And I was just like, no. I honestly called my sister in a panic, and I was just like, I really want a break. And she was like, you have to do it.
I would have said the same thing. I'd be like, I'm so sorry.
And I knew she was right. Like, I knew it. Well, she just confirmed it, I guess. But yeah, I was like, yeah, I have to do it. Because it's Bethany. And it's Gaga.
Yeah, the stars aligned.
Yeah. I hadn't heard the song or anything at that point either. I think there was a little bit of a period where they were considering other people. And I'm not sure what was happening in the background, but it ended up coming to me officially. And first thing that happened, we got the footage. I was speechless. Like, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah. Did they tell you it was a dance video before that?
They said it was going to be a dance video. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to be as much of a moment.
Yeah.
As it was. Like, I saw the footage and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Gaga called me before I started, and she was basically like, you should just know that I have a really clear vision for what I want for this, even when it comes to what takes I want to use for certain things. And
right.
By
all means.
Yeah, of course. And she was like, but I definitely want you to be able to put your own touch on it. So, like, this is how it goes with every music video that I do, but I do the first cut by myself, and then we start doing
Okay.
sessions after the first cut, just so I have a chance to really put my own touch on it.
Yeah.
Although I'm usually kind of like freaking out over the first cut because Sheryl Crow, the first cut is the deepest, but it's always like, it's always so vulnerable because you're like, this is
you're really putting yourself out there in terms of like, this could be completely not
what
it.
they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to just take that risk because
it usually pays off. Even if it's not, it's still, I feel like, usually appreciated that the twist was put on it in the first place. Maybe it was something, and it usually opens people's eyes to something they hadn't thought about.
Exactly. I always think that because I'm not on set, I don't see any of the drama, like backstory. And so I bring a completely fresh eye to it. And so we did that. I had like 2 days. It was not enough time, but there never is. There was so much footage. And then we started doing sessions from there, and Gaga and Paris were coming in. I think we did like 3 or 4 days of like all day sessions, just really going through almost every frame, every angle, and making sure that we did what we needed to do. It's a dance video, so it was like, it was a lot about, you know, we use a lot of the really wide shots in the first half because they were really clear on wanting it to be a video that people could learn the choreography. Yeah. And so we made a point not to use a lot of close-ups of Gaga. There's so much stuff.
I love that was on purpose, because I have been the person trying to learn the choreography. Like from Rain on Me, it was like during COVID, so I was bored, learned the choreography, and the cut of that video was preventing me a little bit.
Oh, because you were like, what do they do there?
Like they're, you know, it's like all of a sudden you're on a close-up and you can't really see all the limbs. So that is so perfect.
Well, because we had those beautiful close-ups, and there's so much stuff that didn't make it in because we were like, no, we got to stay on the dance.
That was going to be another one of my questions. So there was a lot of coverage, you're saying?
Lots.
Like tons.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did they run it, do you think? Like that sort of the most full dance that's in the whole thing.
Yeah, that first chorus dance sequence, I think they did maybe like 15 takes. There were like a lot of that.
Yeah.
Other things, there were a lot fewer takes, maybe like 5. But there's so many dancers too, so that was a big part of the edit was, of course, they're incredibly talented, but it was making sure, going through each take and where does everyone look the most on point. But in terms of getting the cut locked, it was fairly quick for a music video. I think we did like 3 or 4 days. It's fun. I mean, we're like in there camping out, there's snacks, we're all just like really feeling it come together, and we knew it was amazing, and we're all just like, they're like screaming like, yes, and like we're just like, it was a really fun,
it's such a party. I mean, the video is such a party too.
Like
a witch party, but a party.
I feel like we all knew it was gonna be insane. Like we were just in awe of it as well. And it was amazing to just, I had a lot of like imposter syndrome working on it. I was like, what am I doing in this room? That's just because I'm really honored to work with people that I'm a fan of. Yeah. Paris and Gaga and Bethany.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Did Gaga like give you any like, were there any like inspirational TED Talk moments or not really? Like I could see her, and she seems like she's in such a good place right now. Like, I could just see her in the edit room, like,
she's so nice. She seems really in love. Yeah. She's just, because a lot of times when you meet famous people, you're just like, damn, that was
not the best.
Yeah, and like, I feel like people in LA are really weird about being a fan, which
no one wants to be like, caught being
a fan, but
how could you? I mean,
I don't care. And it's not,
how could you not?
It's not that I'm a fan of her because she's famous. It's like I'm a fan of anyone who's fearlessly themselves, that they could be an assistant editor or a post producer or whatever. But I've watched her. I grew up watching her videos, idolizing like the people that worked on them. And so, it was just a dream that I never thought would happen. I didn't even know that she would make a video like this again. So it was
because she had like chronic pain, and she had all these like issues that kind of prevented her from dancing to that level.
Yeah, true. And I just didn't know where she would go next. And because it was so like reminiscent of Alejandro and her older work, which like that's what I just never thought that we would get that again.
Neither did I. Actually, the premiere of it is also a good thing to talk about because I think, was it wait, was it during the Grammy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like watching with friends, watching the Grammys, and then randomly,
You're just like, wait, it's a Lady
in the
Gaga
commercial
video?
break, it was like MasterCard or something, right?
Yeah.
That was the sponsor.
Yeah.
I just was like, this video isn't ending. Like, I was like, is this the whole thing? Like, what's going on here? We were all I was in a room of like gay men. And so everyone was losing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was losing it. But yeah, the version that was broadcast during the Grammys, it was like a slightly truncated version, so it's a little shorter. But yeah, we knew that was happening and that the MasterCard collaboration was part of the whole dance challenge.
Right.
Dance competition that they're still doing right now. There's going to be a fan version of the video that's going to come out. I feel like I've never had more gay men in my DMs, and like
I literally cannot imagine. I have thought about this too. I'm like, you must be getting all sorts of interaction.
People have like called me mother, and I'm just like, babe, I'm not ready for a child. Like,
but you are mother for that, honestly.
Oh,
you are.
I'm not. I can't handle that pressure. I really can't.
The title. Like, just being in association. Like, I had the thought when you were saying I don't know, a few minutes ago, I was like, wait, is she technically in the house of Gaga now? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, but I don't really understand who the house of Gaga is.
When I was younger, when she first came out, I was like, so how do I apply to be in the house of
like
Gaga? Like,
how close do you have to be in the house? Like, I think it's sort of just like her team.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and she always talks about she's paying homage to all the gay men that support her, and the song is very ballroom coded.
Esque, yeah.
Yeah. And I can't handle the mother comment, and like but also my mom is obsessed with it. There's a lot of things my mom doesn't know what I'm talking about when I tell her about what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And of course she knows Lady Gaga, so.
Yeah. And that's what another great thing about Lady Gaga is, I feel like, just across generations, everyone is like, we can conclude this woman is talented. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's always been so respected, I think. Obviously in the beginning, very misunderstood too, but she was like 23, so that's fine. But it is wild just to think about her like breadth of work. And
yeah. Well, also what the video speaks to, I feel like a lot of the interpretations are about that, about being a celebrity and feeling beholden to a character. That's how you could interpret it. I also like the two characters she's playing in it. To me, it's also just about transformation of any kind, you know, and kind of...
And also duality.
Yeah, like those light sides of you versus the darker side that maybe is fearful and doubtful, and it's just about perseverance.
It was so easy for a long time to perceive her as like not a full human, because she used her characters as shields to some degree. And now, like, that she's been in the industry for so long and people have seen all these different phases of her life and stuff, I feel like we're finally in that perfect like sweet spot of like really being able to see her artistry and the vision, but to also see her and not just like the facade of...
Yeah, and also all her fans are like hitting 30, and like we're all just reminiscing our childhood because the world is shitty right now.
Yeah, you brought up recession pop like at the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, we're kind of back.
Yeah, we're kind of
back in that moment, like arguably more scary way, I think. So it's a comfort to have this video. Like, actually, it's a huge...
Yeah, everyone was like, she knew to come back right when we needed her.
When we needed her the most.
Right when we needed her.
I was going to ask if you have a favorite track from Mayhem.
I really like Vanish Into You.
Same.
I also like Killa.
Yes.
That one was cool. It's very Bowie.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a Bowie vibe.
So much. I think I saw a lot of reaction on Twitter that was like people being surprised that it wasn't like all gothic or something, or like all hard sounding.
Yeah, I think people were like, this was sold as this like dark pop with Abracadabra.
Right.
And
but
now
then when
it's
you
not
actually
really
go back and listen to her interviews from January, she mentioned everything like Bowie and, you know, sort of 80s references, groovy, even groovy,
like a funk.
And I'm like, guys, like, she said it back then. I know.
But that's the thing with the monsters, they're never happy.
And most of them are. I think for the most part they're just happy to have something. Okay, another fun question: if you could edit a video for a different Lady Gaga song, and this is, I guess, one that doesn't have a video, because what would you choose?
Summer Boy?
Perfect answer. That's a perfect answer. I can't believe it doesn't have a video.
It's so good. That song is so, convertible car driving.
It kind of writes itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like an editor kind of hack or like keyboard shortcut or like something that you use a lot that you either didn't know about until like way too late, or it's just like your favorite thing?
I'm kind of a big, this is boring, but it's like an option command V girl. Paste effects. If I want to try something on other clips.
Paste attributes.
Paste attributes
yes,
all day.
Agreed.
And then I forget if it's L, where you can play things double speed.
It is L, yeah.
And I do that a lot, maybe just as like a stim, where I'm just like,
I do it too.
Or if I'm watching a talking head and I just want to I don't want to listen to you in real time. Like, you're going to be a chipmunk right now, and I can still understand what you're saying.
I also have that superpower. I can't listen to things it's actually kind of bad.
It's really slow in real time though.
Yes, but it's because we've conditioned ourselves to hear things double. And like when I'm on Spotify listening to podcasts, sometimes I'll go up to like 175. And I'm like, I know this isn't normal. My poor brain.
And if I'm in a session and I'm just doing that kind of to skim through things, people are like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, that's double time.
It's a skill that we have to have, because otherwise, time does get wasted.
Yeah.
Just listening to people talk in real time. So outside of work and editing, which ways do you creatively express yourself?
I grew up dancing, which is funny for the Abracadabra video as well.
Helps so much.
It felt so full circle. And there's a lot of editors who I know that come from music, like they're drummers. And it's really interesting, the translation of that. So I always wonder about that, whether that has anything to do with it. But I still, I take dance classes like here and there, on and off when I have the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also, honestly, I feel like I just try to live creatively. I like to like dress cute and like
that. I meant to bring up fashion too, because fashion is a huge component of music videos and seemingly seems like a big part of kind of why you were attracted to them, like Aaliyah and all that. It can be a huge part of your life, just your life as well as
it's
what you
do.
It's
a form of expression, especially if you're shy or a lot of editors are a little introverted and shy, and that's my way of expressing myself. Because when I'm at home editing all day, I'm in like full goblin mode. Like I'm in sweatpants. So I need to also live my life outside of being an editor behind a screen. So going out and like dressing up, looking cute, feeling cute.
Up like a person.
Yeah, that's
important.
Like healing to me, honestly.
No, honestly, today was kind of healing to me. I was like, oh, I'm going to put on real clothes.
Yeah.
And I'm
going to wear makeup.
Be a real person. And like, not to mention like the posture of it all, like the carpal tunnel of it all.
Yeah.
Like, I just bought an ergonomic mouse, and it actually has changed my life a little bit. It actually has. It took me a second to like adjust, but now I kind of had to do it because literally.
Yeah, because I have had to wear, I started getting a weird wrist pain at one point. I had to wear like this weird brace.
Like a brace. I have that too. Yeah. It's not good.
It's not cute, but I really... Whenever I don't need to be on my computer, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like I'm on a walk. I don't want to be there when I don't need to be.
Same. So. The worst is when you try to go on a freedom walk, and then when you're about to...
I like freedom walk.
When you're about to... That's literally what I call it. You're about to like go for the doorknob, and then you get like a Slack message, or like and it's like...
Oof, yeah.
No, I'm gonna...
Like, can you make this one little change?
Yeah, and it's like, well, I could make the change and then upload it and then go on my freedom walk, or I could go on it now, and then,
Yeah.
It's always...
Yeah. And also, I've had to learn, like, it's okay for me to, like, go on a walk.
Yeah. Like, you have rights. I always tell myself
but it can feel like that sometimes,
It can feel like change.
Like, I can't leave my desk right now.
Yeah.
But I also write as well. And that I like that because I don't have to be tied to my desktop. I can write
me anywhere.
From wherever.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to explore as well. I'm curious about playing a role at the beginning of the process as opposed to the very end.
The end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the middle, you're not into production or... Not really.
I mean, there's a script I wrote that I'm trying to produce and direct, and that'll be really new for me. And I was thinking, whether I would want to work with, whether I would want to cut it or whether I want to work with an editor. And I think I would want to work with an editor.
I mean, Is there a director or a show? I guess you kind of just answered this, or a type of project that you want to work on next or in the future. In general.
I'm really curious about taking things outside of the edit bay too. Like, you were talking about how there's not a lot of community and in-person building between editors, and I'm trying to figure out what it looks like and what it is, if it's an event series or a workshop that I can bring to younger editors. I get so many DMs and I don't know what to say a lot of the time.
Like, advice?
Yeah, I'd love to chat about your career story, how you got to where you are, and I want to do that, and I try to make time for those things, but I also am like, what could I offer that could be really meaningful?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know whether
really
that's
informative.
Like a workshop, but it could also just be some type of a place where we can all go and talk about what we're doing and just be not goblins behind our computer. But I'm also open to it not even being
like
strictly about post. Like, it could be just like, something more broad to get people together. Because also I'm trying to have something to do. Like, right. LA nightlife is
a bit of a nightmare. Yeah. Okay, well, stay tuned, I guess. Something's coming down the pipe. Well, thank you for being here today and telling me the Gaga tea that I really needed to know, because it's all I've been consuming for the past, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I love talking about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, thank you for being here, and follow Sophia. What's your
It's
Instagram?
just my name.
Sophia Kerpan. It'll be linked in the description, and thanks for joining us today.